and what we're going to do is just take our time with this. The banter is the banter. It's fine. As I give you a question, I mean, you can jump right into it. I don't care. Or you can just pause a little bit. If you make a mistake, which I don't know how you would, right? But if you know, or whatever, you're like, fuck, I want to do it again. Then we'll just do it again, because then I'll cut and paste. But it's just going to be a natural discussion. I don't know where Shruti is, but that's fine. So typically, so here's how I would start it. I would do it like this. Well, everyone, thank you for taking time out of your day to join us. I have some wonderfully exciting things to talk to you about today. And what I want to do, something like that, right? I go into it and then boom. And so I think what I'll do for this one is, let's see what contest. Okay. All right. I got it. All right. So I got it. Hello, everybody. And once again, I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Chief News Guy Interviews Somebody from D55. Today, incredible opportunity for everybody to meet my fellow West Austin 2 mate, Eddie Montemayor. Eddie, you just competed in the Area 52 evaluation contest. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, thank you, Harlan, for having me here today. Pleasure to be here, of course. So yes, competing in the Area 52 contest, it was definitely a thrill. It's definitely another opportunity for me to improve my own communication abilities, more specifically in this case, for the evaluation contest in which I competed. And it was just another way for me to be challenged. It's always challenging to evaluate someone that you don't know, and that was certainly the case here. And I did get the case of the nerves a little bit, and so I think that did impact performance, but still, I'm happy to report that I did prevail, and I'm moving on to the next competition, and hopefully things turn out well.
No, that's fantastic. And I understand you've been in Toastmasters just about 3 years now. Can you tell us, was this your first competition, or have you competed before in Toastmasters?
No, this was my first competition. I didn't get a chance to before, mainly because I had to travel for work. And I think the first year that I was there, I was actually moving from my old club, and it was back in Midland, Texas, and I was moving to Austin. So there was just no way that I could participate in any contest during that time. But I'm happy that I now have the opportunity to take part in a contest, and so far so good, as they say.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And so tell me a little bit about why you decided to do the evaluation contest versus international. That's part one. And then number two, just what made you take that leap? All right, I'm going to do a contest this year. And talk about that.
So one of the things that I was thinking about was, well, I feel like I could improve my evaluation skill. I feel like to give a good speech, a good 5 to 7 minute speech, enough to compete for international, I think it's important to also to refine your evaluation skills as far as what makes a good speech, listening to it, and just focusing on what that is and helping others do that. And I feel like by helping others give good speeches, you figure out how you can unlock that potential within yourself and create that sort of experience for your audience, or me for my audience, I should say. So I looked at it that way, and I felt that, well, okay, let's start with the evaluation. Let's start with the secondary contest, see how well I do, and go from there.
Excellent, excellent. Understand. Now, you did something different in your evaluations from a contest perspective that I've seen in years past. And I've been a Toastmaster for 15 years, and I thought this was rather unique. The style that you adopted for your evaluation was based on content, delivery, and impact. Now, that is something that my advanced club, Master Speakers of Austin, or Speakers Master Their Craft, that's what we provide feedback to our speakers. And it's incredible that you went ahead and did it that way. Tell the audience, tell us a little bit about why did you choose content delivery and impact versus the traditional pathway of what you did well, here's how you can improve, and I challenge you to.
Yes, in our Toastmaster Club, obviously, you're part of Master Speakers of Austin, as you say, and so is another Toastmaster member of our club, Lorenzo Peve. Both of you have also used the content delivery impact format of evaluation. And I decided to try that one day. And when I did, it all clicked as far as all the aspects of the speech that ought to be addressed. You always can talk about content, you can always talk about delivery, and you can always talk about impact. And I find just by looking at the Pathways evaluation form, there are several dimensions that are addressed in each form. We talk about things like clarity, we talk about things like vocal variety, gestures. Each of those things fit into one of those three buckets, right? Content, delivery, and impact. And by expressing what my points are in terms of content, delivery, impact, I cover those three things. Those three things that pretty much encompass everything. And what I found out when I was doing before the Pathways version of it, the what you did well, the improvement, and what you can do to challenge yourself. I feel like with that format, you can in fact miss one of those other dimensions. I could talk about content and just on content and still follow the Pathways formula, while if I address content delivery impact, not only am I giving my evaluation a structure in which the audience, or more specifically the speaker, can follow, but also it forces me to address all three of those things. And I think that's far more helpful to that speaker in helping them enhance their speech for the future.
Okay. It's a very different way to evaluate. I'm humbled and honored, and I'm sure my club also is, to hear that you've adopted that method. And of course, it paid off during areas, and now we have division contests coming up soon. So it'll be interesting to see how that unfolds. During the evaluation period, you have 5 minutes with which to create, think about, and then deliver your evaluation. Now, if we think about it, if you go first in the contest, well, you really have your 5 minutes and you've gone. You were not first. If I recall, you were third in your evaluation. So did you actually take 10 minutes to do it? Did you do it in 5 and then you kind of started thinking about how to articulate it? Well, how did you prepare after the speaker was done?
I took my 5 minutes, and basically I fill out just a single page of a notepad, just one of these, right? and that's really it. You should only just have a page, because I feel like if I do any more than that, I'm probably going to go over my 3-minute time limit, or 3 minutes 30 seconds if you include the grace period. So I did take my 5 minutes, and I also did that for the club as well, because those are the rules. And at the area, in the area competition, more specifically, Jean Ramsey was with us in the room, and she was just talking to me and to the other contestant that was in there. And I think it was just to make sure we wouldn't take over 5 minutes or have that sort of unfair advantage. So I was just talking to her, chatting her up about my favorite restaurants in Austin and that sort of thing while I was waiting. And we were just having a good time until I was called on. And then I had to, get my notes again. I had them all face down just like that. And then I just flipped them back over once I was called, and just went from there. So I did literally just take 5 minutes after the speech to prepare, and that was it. And I've also adjusted the way I do evaluations in my club. At the club, I actually do just time myself 5 minutes and then just turn over my notes, and then I'm focused on the rest of the meeting until I'm called on to go. So that's been my tweak as far as evaluations in terms of preparing for the contests. But I think it's also a good rule of thumb as well to do any sort of evaluations. Just take the 5 minutes, and then and it forces you to really just pay attention and to process things a lot faster.
Right. Okay, that's an excellent method by which you did it, and some good advice for folks who are listening and want to take part in the evaluation contest, or just an evaluation in general. Now, you mentioned being nervous, and I will say, as somebody who was watching it as an audience member, as it were, I did see your nerves, and that may have been one of the first times I've actually seen you be nervous. And so I know that'll be something you work on. But if you're going to critique yourself, right, your performance, and again, everything's going so fast, we don't record it, you don't get feedback from the judges. But if you were to critique yourself, where do you think you can improve outside of calming the nerves?
Where I can improve upon, for at least for what I did based on my performance, an area, as I was looking at the speech, as I was listening to the speaker, I was focused more on the delivery points. It just screamed out at me like what the speaker could have done better, of course. But then what happens is that you are distracted from the content. And so I feel that I could just pay attention to content, just really just hone in on what they're saying. And I do feel that I probably don't give myself enough credit for being observant, but I really should, because I think if you're focused on just listening to what they're saying and just watching the speaker, you pin the obviously the speaker screen to your Zoom just to really focus on them. I do feel that even when I just pay attention to the content, in the back of my mind, I'm also taking notes on their delivery. And of course, I'm feeling the impact of all of that. And I don't really have to actively pay attention to some of those other things, but when it's content, you do have to pay attention. You do have to take some active role in looking at those things so that you can give effective feedback. And then as far as delivery is concerned, well, they're usually things that happen throughout the speech. So you can observe those things at different points. So yes, if I were to go back, I would really just hone in on what they're saying and see whether I'm distracted. And if I am distracted, what is distracting me? And I'll just kind of put that off to the side and then just keep focusing on the speech.
Great insight into that. And I think it's wonderful that we're able to critique ourselves in a manner that just looks at a way for us to improve. Because I know you're not the guy that is going to really beat himself up to the point where you're throwing in the towel. So I think just the fact that you critiqued yourself in that manner, in a professional way to improve, I think that's very astute. And that's some, again, great advice for other folks. The division contest is coming up like that. There was very little time between the area contest and now the division contest. Now, while that is out of the norm, for folks who are watching this in the future, as in like a year or 2 or 3 from now, they'll recognize that we had a major snowstorm, a major ice storm in February, which actually postponed our contest by 1 month. So talk to me a little bit about preparation. You had an extra month to prepare. I understand that. So did you go into the area contest saying, you know what, after I win this, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, and I'm not going to change very much other than maybe what you mentioned to improve? Or did you kind of go into this thinking, I don't know, we'll just see what happens, and then when it's done, I'll think about it afterward? How did you prepare yourself going from club area, division to district?
Yeah, so I believe between club and area, I did have a chance to do an evaluation or two, and really just really just focus again on just kind of simulating what the contest is, just having the 5 minutes of prep after the speech to just jot down my remarks, to structure it, and then just put it away. As far as between club and area, but most of all, even in the short time I've had between area and division, I mean, we only had, I guess, one meeting, but I've been just paying attention more to how other people do their evaluations. I will say, Harlan, that I don't believe, despite my performance in these contests, and this speaks to the caliber of our members in the club, I don't think that I am the best evaluator in our club. I look at others. For example, I look to people like you who have been in there for a long time. I look to other members as well, like Paul Wilson, for example, who's been in the club for decades, and he gave a great evaluation today at our Toastmaster meeting. I just take notes from you guys and just take my cues off of great evaluators. Lorenzo Peve, who I mentioned, is also a very good evaluator. So I pay attention to what they notice, and I think about those things. I process those things, and I move forward from there. And I, of course, I pay attention to speeches as well, and I kind of take like a kind of sort of a mental evaluation and go through that as well. Well, what would make this speech better, and that sort of thing. I try not to I don't want to say over rehearse. There's really no way you can over rehearse an evaluation, but I try not to, in colloquial terms, psych myself out too much about it, because if you do that, then you're just gonna stress yourself out too much, and then you're just going to be nervous, and then you're not going to be able to focus on the task at hand. So there is a bit of a balancing act that I do to just make sure that I'm sharp enough to handle the contest, but at the same time that I also don't over stress about it.
Understood. And interesting to see how you look at yourself in terms of an evaluator. And I think for anybody to say I'm the best would be ridiculous anyhow. However, I can say that in the time that you've been in our club, your ability to evaluate and the value that you provide to the speaker is incredible. And that is because of practice. And it is because you've taken a formula and you're making it work. And I think that that's one of the things that evaluators in general, when we use the pathway guide, or we used to use the sandwich method, or we use some method, it does help us. But then I think sometimes there might be an aspect that we are missing. So you talked earlier about content, delivery, and impact being the way that you articulate your evaluation. How do you keep it within 3 minutes and 30 seconds when that is so broad of a topic, content, delivery, and impact? How do you keep that within 3 minutes and 30 seconds?
I think this is where the 5 minutes of prep time helps, because you can only do so much in that 5 minutes. And of course, as I said before, I stick to a page, and I feel like if I go beyond that then I would have so much on the page that I will definitely run out of time. So I think that's important. And of course, when I am giving an evaluation, I pay attention to the timer. I keep an eye on that person, whoever it might be, and adjust accordingly. And I think that's what really helps me. And I feel like those who do go over, at least those in our club that have gone over, I do think it's because they overdo it on their remarks, that they just keep jotting down up until they are called on. And I think that's where they run into trouble for the most part. So in short, the 5 minutes and just keeping your remarks to just that page really helps.
Got it. Did you decide to enter the evaluation contest for personal or professional reasons, or both? And whatever your answer is going to be, can you expand on that?
Yes, I would say it is a combination of both. As a professional, I'm an attorney. More specifically, I'm a litigator, so I do appear in front of a judge and for hearings in front of a court. And I think it is important to be able to self-evaluate your own skill. Obviously, you're going to have other attorneys that are going to critique you as well, and they're going to, and that definitely helps. But you also need to have that enough of that self-introspection to where you to where you can improve, and it's sorry, my phone was ringing for a second. I'll get that in a second.
That's fine.
I think it is the phone just like interrupted my train of thought.
No, that's okay.
I do apologize. Yes. As an advocate, you do want to be the most effective. You want to be able to deliver your arguments in the most effective manner. And I think by learning how to evaluate others, you learn how to evaluate yourself. And on a professional level, for me, that is that's pretty much my bread and butter as a litigator. And I have felt that throughout my time at Toastmasters that I have improved as an advocate, as an oral advocate for my clients, and I think, and others I think have noticed that too, and that has translated into results and into wins at the trial level. Personally, I think it has given me the self-confidence. It has before, I would never have thought 3 years ago, if you had told me that I would have been prevailing in speech contests, that I would win a club contest and an area contest, I would have told you, get out of here. You don't know what you're talking about. So this has helped me build my own self-confidence. But at the same time, I'm also humbled by those that are in my club. I feel so blessed to be a part of West Austin too. There are so many wonderful speakers, yourself included, Harlan, yourself included. I feel like I am the Salieri to y'all's Mozart, to put it in terms of the movie Amadeus. And so I've learned from all of you, and I've improved myself, and I hope to continue that journey, maintain that humble heart. And as I mentioned before, I don't consider myself the best evaluator or even the best speaker, but I am advancing forward, and I'm just going to continue to do that.
I think that's a great endorsement for Toastmasters, right? And what it's all about, and improving communication and leadership skills. And you've just now articulated the fact that from a professional perspective, there's a leadership component to that, and being able to self-evaluate as well as articulate to a judge or someone else, this is how I believe your speech, your argument went. I also think from the standpoint of communication, just getting you to be a better communicator is absolutely proven from the time, again, that I've seen you in the club over the last couple of years. So that's a testament. And I think that's fantastic for you to do that. So let me wrap it up here in a couple of questions. The first one is, what do you tell that individual who is still on the fence? I don't want to compete. I'm nervous. It's not worth it. Why are you even bugging me? How do you motivate somebody to go and do this?
I do think when you are part of a club for so long, you do become comfortable with the folks that you're with. and I think it's important to, I think it's just another opportunity to utilize those skills in front of people you don't know. And I always consider, and I think folks just have to realize, or at least our Toastmaster members have to realize that it's still just Toastmasters. It's still, for at least for me, of course, it's a safe place to fail. There are no consequences if you do badly in any of these contests. You're not going to lose your job. You're not going to get a bad grade. It is a safe place. It's a great way to get. It's a great opportunity to get out of that comfort zone, and to be. And this is just another way to do it. If you're already comfortable in your club with your club, I think it's great to now hone your skills in front of strangers and people that you don't know, and just improve from there. So it really does, I think, expose whatever other issues you may have, and forces you to address those, whether we are talking about nerves or other things.
Mm-hmm.
At least you can, that'll put it in the spotlight, and then you can fix those things.
Got it. Well, this has been a really, really informative session. And I think that we have the division contest coming up in 2 days, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Saturday, March 27th. And today is March 25th. So what might have to occur is a very brief follow-up to this to see what happens. Now, maybe not. And all this part is going to be cut out if you don't win. So this works one of two ways. Here's the first way. A lot of insight, a lot of information that you've just shared with us, Eddie, and I'm sure that the folks who are watching appreciate this. They now have a much better understanding of what it takes for an individual to compete in the evaluation contest. And I think that you've also perhaps put a sparkle in a few folks' eyes who maybe, they didn't do it this year, but next year they'll go ahead and compete. And if it's not evaluation, of course, it will be something else. And the international speech contest is always there. I just think it's great that you're able to motivate others to take that risk. I always say that if you've done your icebreaker, if you've given an icebreaker speech, really nothing else left to be scared about. That first one can be a doozy. And
yes, I can.
Everything after that, it's just an opportunity for growth. So we all want to wish you good luck on Saturday. And we'd love to have you back on the program. And we'll wait to see what happens Saturday. And no matter what the end results are, that you are a fan favorite, and we are so looking forward to catching up with you after this. Is there anything that you would like to say to the audience before we sign off for the evening?
Well, thank you, Harlan, for having me. And it's been a pleasure, of course, as always. I would like to say, I guess the most important thing for me when I am giving a speech, and I think the thing that I should probably keep in mind for the competition, and it's something I always keep in mind for the club, is to have fun. Having fun is the most important thing. For me, having fun has helped me with issues of anxiety and nervousness. When you have fun giving a speech or giving an evaluation, those who are listening to you will have fun as well. And for me, that has been key to it really improving in this club for overcoming my fears of public speaking, at least from where I was 3 years ago, and it's been nothing but good times. And I hope that I've inspired that, at least in my own club, at least inspired, especially the new folks, to take risks themselves in their own speeches, but most of all, to have fun.
I love it. Well, both Sally and I, Sally is the mascot of D55. She's very excited She's very excited for Saturday. I want to thank you again, Eddie, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to speak with us. And if anybody has any questions or wants to get in touch with you for any reason, is it all right if we give them your email address, your Toastmaster email
Yes.
address?
Yes,
Wonderful,
sir.
wonderful. All right, well, we appreciate the time and we certainly root you, we'll be rooting you on